Yo, dudes, it's talking with Jodi time. Let's see. Here I am, ready to talk about Buddhism. Let's see if I have anything to say. Well, I guess I haven't talked about slander of the law, which is a really difficult concept. Whoa. Slander of the law in Buddhism is a very grave offense, and that begs the question, what is slander of the law? Slander of the law is to ignore the law, to reject the law, to speak ill of the law, and to, what's way worse than speaking ill of the Lotus Sutra or the law, is to speak ill of the votaries of the Lotus Sutra, those who read, recite, practice the Lotus Sutra. So to speak ill of them, to slander them, to strike them, to abuse them, to say anything bad about them, to harass them, to cause them to have hardship, that is the worst offense than rejecting the Lotus Sutra. It's to reject the practitioner. What happens to you if you reject the teaching or its practitioner? A whole hell of a lot of bad. A whole hell of a lot of bad. The Lotus Sutra explains that if you speak ill of a votary, in other words, if you talk shit about me, about Jodi, because I'm a practitioner, if you talk shit about me, if you say anything shitty to me, if you speak ill of of the Buddhism I practice, you're fucking risking your life. Just doing that, you're risking your damn life. And when you die, you'll come back as a dog covered with sores, a skinny, starving dog, a stupid dog, a dog that smells terrible, has rotting mouth and a rotting tail, that goes from place to place and never finds anyone to care for it. Always hungry, always seeking love and never finding either food or love. Going from place to place, being rejected and being abused, being struck, beaten, driven away, and then you could even be worse. You could be a jackal with all those same qualities, or a snake that doesn't even have arms and legs. You could be somebody who accomplishes nothing with your life, and anything you try to accomplish, say you try to heal someone, you'll make them worse and they'll even die. And worse 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 happens to somebody who fucks with a votary of the Lotus Sutra, me. Sorry to tell you, but the good news is all you all are cool to me. And should you become a votary of the Lotus Sutra, same thing. Same thing for you. For you, then, anyone fucks with you, they're gonna fucking be fucked up. They're gonna be fucking fucked up. I'm grateful that I'm in the line here at McDonald's, and that I'm got plenty of gas in my car right now. Yay. Let me see what's going on with my dang, these are dirty glasses. Tell me what I get with my points. Well, it's not telling me I can get a iced tea. Well, I'll get an iced tea and yeah, there have been businesses I've gone into and they were rude to me. The next time I went by there, the business no longer existed. I was like, oh my gosh, they shouldn't have been rude to me. Like, they were doing fine. I went in, they were rude to me. The next damn week, this flourishing business was out of business. Whoa. Yep, not good. Not good to be rude to a votary of the Lotus Sutra. They don't know I was a votary of the Lotus Sutra. They could be rude to somebody who's not a votary of the Lotus Sutra. Maybe they have a position of power, and that person in power could raise hell all over the town and influence people to stop going in there and make them go under. All I did was walk in there. They were rude to me. I left and I spoke to my family and said, my kids, and said, they were really horrible to me in there. They were horrible to me in there. A week later I went by, they were no longer in business. I didn't raise hell all over town. I didn't do anything like that. Like these cops harassing me, I keep saying that they're going to get shitty karma. They already got shitty karma. They've already got it. They've already been living the effects of their shitty karma. And since I told them that they were going to have shitty karma, they knew they know they're having their shitty karma. I mean, they probably already, had it within a few days. They probably had a big major plumbing flood. Like I said, like I've told you, the gods love to use plumbing floods as karmic retribution, and they probably had their plumbing flood, major flood, and then lost a bunch of money. So that's those cops who arrested me, or whatever it was called, who took me to the hospital in handcuffs. Somebody just cut in front of everybody here in McDonald's. They're in a hurry. Well, that's an example where if I took that real offensively, they could be called, slandering a votary of the Lotus Sutra because they're fucking cutting in front of one. But I'm not worried about it. I'm relaxed about it. And that is actually potentially even more dangerous to them because it bounces right back on them. So what they'll have happen is somebody else will cut in line in front of them, and then they'll be all mad later. Well, I went and saw Darren at his temporary housing place. He's doing superbly. He's doing so great. I'm like going, man, I want to be doing as well as he is. But, he thinks I am. Let's see if I can go up here to this place where... So he thinks I'm doing really great. He giving me feedback that I'm doing great, and I'm like, you're doing great, and we probably both are, and I can really see it in him, and so I'm proud of him, and I keep telling him I'm proud of him, and I am really proud of him. I'm surprised that it's almost 4 o'clock and McDonald's is really busy. Normally, McDonald's is so damn fast. I don't even have time to get my money out before I'm through the damn line. But this time, I'm getting a little time to get it out. I recommend using the app at McDonald's. Because it gives you these points and you can get free stuff. Plus you can, on Fridays, I don't know if you have to have the app, but you can get free fries. Free Fry Fridays. I think my impatience is starting to subdue a little bit. One thing that helped me was that Darren really emphasized that going slowly is a good thing, and that we have a right to be at peace. That was really well adjusted of him and true. I thought I ahead. Yep, it's fine. Yes, the code is 0456.
Jodi?
Yes, Jodi. And I would do 1 large unsweetened iced tea.
Large. What else?
That's all. Thank you.
Fine lady, 3 at that person.
Perfect. Weird. This never happens, but that's the 3rd person cut in front of me. Oh well. That's weird. Like, what kind of people cut in front? Cut in line? Maybe they're really hungry. Maybe their karma's gonna be right. I don't know. I mean, I know my karma is that I just got 3 people cutting in line in front of me. But maybe sometimes what seems like bad karma can be good karma.
Large unsweetened?
Yes.
183.
Thank you.
There's 8 and 17.
Thank you. You too. Now it's like completely open.
Your tea, have a good day.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah, so Darren's doing great. I mean, I knew that if I could get rid of him, get him out of the house, that he would straighten up his act. And boy, oh boy, has he straightened up his act. I'm proud of him for it. I'm glad. And I know from experience, and I'm not going to do this, I'm married to Sean Singer and in love with him. But, even though he's in New York City and never talks to me, I know from experience that taking Darren back just makes him revert right back to where he was when I kicked him out. So he's doing great. He needs to do great. I want him to do great. He's wanting to do great. So he's on his own trajectory of life. And I told him, and he agrees, that we're friends. Yay! Tea. Iced tea, yay! Just a sweet treat. So I'm proud of Darren. He gives me a lot of hope for my own future. I mean, he's really encouraging me right now. Proud of him. That's going to be great karma for him. But he's not doing it for the karma. He's doing it just genuinely, which is why I'm so damn proud of him. I'm eating my lunch. It wouldn't be normally weird if a Greek spanakopita thing. But it's weird because I'm eating it out of my purse. It's cold instead of hot, which it's really delicious hot. It's alright cold. I'm grateful to have food. Yeah, and in the Buddhism I practice, the first time I read out of the Lotus Sutra, I just opened it randomly and read out of the Lotus Sutra, and it was like out of the chapter called Simile and Parable. I was trying to remember the title of that chapter when I was talking about the parable of the burning house. It might be out of that chapter, but it is a parable. But the chapter is called, and that might be in it, but various parables are in it. Simile and parable. Sorry, I'll say that better. Simile and parable. Anyway, first time I ever opened the Lotus Sutra, I was living with Marty, who introduced me to Buddhism, who was my partner. And he kept talking about the Lotus Sutra, and he had a Lotus Sutra on the altar, and so I just opened it and read out of one of the parables, and I think it was the parable of it was a lot like the parable of the prodigal son. It was about, I think it's called the parable of the jewel in the robe, and it was about a man who had a really, really, really rich father, and he left his father and went out and ventured throughout the land, and he gosh, I don't know if this is the one with the jewel in the robe or not, or if I'm getting it confused with the Bible. because whatever parable it was, yeah. So he went out and he became really, 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 really poor. He partied and wandered and forgot who he was. A rich man's son. And he saw this really, really, really rich lord and all of his workers, and the Lord saw him way off and recognized him as his own son and said, I'm going to pretend like I'm not his father and send one of my helpers out to give him a job. So he sent one of the helpers out, and he had told the helper that he could have a job mucking out stalls or, cleaning up shit. So the young man, who was like in his 50s, said, yes, I'll do it. And they gave him a ratty little, shed to live in, and he was wearing rags and all this stuff. And I don't think there's a jeweled robe. That's a different one. So anyway, the son worked forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, getting a little bit promoted, a little bit promoted, a little bit promoted, until his father gave him all of the land. Sorry about the jeweled robe, that's a different one. Well, I read that and I was like, wow, this is just like the Bible. I think I even said something like that, like, wow, that looks like it's, a parable from the Bible, the prodigal son. And then I put it away and didn't read it for quite a while. And then the next time I read it, I'm trying to remember what I read. I think it was another parable, but I can't say for sure. Whatever I read the second time, it was a little more unique to the Lotus Sutra. Could have been the Slander chapter. And, shoot. And then I started reading the Lotus Sutra at some point, intently. And also read Nichiren's writings. And I would come across things in Nichiren's writings. And he would say, if you slander this teaching, you will fall into the Avicii hell. And then there was things like that in the Lotus Sutra, and I thought, wow, this is like Catholicism. This is hellfire and brimstone. And it was very, very hellfire and brimstone. It is very hellfire and brimstone. And I just loved it. I was like, of course, there's no philosophy that doesn't include hellfire and brimstone, at least not for me. I need it to include hellfire and brimstone. I grew up on hellfire and brimstone. I grew up on it. I need it. It's the paradigm I view the world from, and Nichiren Buddhism has it. It has it big time. It curses people. It curses people with their own damn karma. It curses people with threatening them to practice the correct teaching or else. It's a wonderful, wonderful teaching. A wonderful teaching. Why go through life without reprimanding people? I love reprimanding people. When you reprimand people, you reprimand yourself. And you can make the world a better place and bring people's damn karma on them and make them change. I mean, Darren was laughing about that. Darren and I were laughing about that. So, at some point I can't drive and, read from the Lotus Sutra. But I do want to read more from the Lotus Sutra off camera, at least, so that I can be a little more accurate when I'm on camera. So, dudes, I'm gonna let you go. If that wasn't a fucking confusing, story, then good. But if it was a confusing story, sorry. I need to get back to studying so that I can remember the details more accurately and be better at teaching y'all. But hey, I gave you the gist of it. Cool coat, huh? My long faux fur.